All right, good afternoon to Doctor and my group mates as well our other classmates. So we are here to present on our final project group presentation on the course of economics for management. So this is my group members, myself, Sharman, followed by Sofyan, Umaira, and Shaf. Okay, so next is for the introduction. I will pass to my group mate Sofa for the introduction.
Hello everyone. So today we would like to present to you the in-depth analysis on the fast food industry in terms of Porter's five forces of competitive analysis. We will then conclude in what types of market structure the industry belongs to by elaborating the industry's characteristic. So in this case, we had chosen the fast food industry and we picked the one among the top brand companies in the fast food industry such Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, A&W, Burger King, Domino's, and McDonald's. And then to relate with the Porter's five forces of competitive position analysis, it is actually a framework to assess and evaluate the competitive strength and position of a business organization itself, and as well as in the market. This theory is based on the concept of the five forces, which we will explain more afterwards, that determine the competitive intensity and attractiveness of a market. So it actually helps to identify where the power lies in a business situation. Yeah. So proceed to the background of the industry, the fast food industry. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sofa. So the industry that we choose for this project is fast food industry. There are no standard definition for terms fast food, but it can be broadly defined as an item that are served on demand and immediately. Fast food typically has a high calorie, sugar, and fat content. Malaysia fast food industry is made up of a wide diversity of restaurants that serve a variety of unique dishes, ranging from local to international, such as burger, fried chips, and sugar-sweetened beverage. On the other hand, are conventional fast food meals. The fast food industry in Malaysia is dominated by American franchise, which includes A&W, Burger King, Domino's Pizza, KFC, McD, and Subway. Customers are primarily influenced by their busy lifestyle, particularly a dual working household with children, to select a quick lunch over a home cooked meal. But as a result, the fast food sector in Malaysia has become the most popular alternative for the majority of customers due to the instant meal preparation that allow people to eat in a short amount of time. So I'll pass to the next presenter. Okay, for the Domino's Pizza, Domino's Pizza is the world number one pizza delivery company, and it was renowned as a pizza delivery specialist. It is an international pizza brand and American restaurant chain. Besides, it's also its LLC parent corporation is based in Michigan, United States of America. The first opened an overseas location in Winnipeg, Canada, and then in Queensland, Australia. Officially opened in Malaysia by 1997, and now there are more than 240 stores in Malaysia. Domino had a nearly 5,000 stores by 1998, making it the world's fastest growing pizza chain. Domino has a reputation for high quality cuisines and reliable delivery service. Other than that, from 2009 to 2011, Domino's Pizza has been award-winning pizza for 4 years in a row, and the International Franchise Association awarded the chain the Gold Franny Award in 2012. Please, next slide.
Okay, so proceed on the KFC. I believe that everyone knows KFC. It's obviously Kentucky Fried Chicken, specialized in fried chicken, and the headquarters is located in Kentucky. So the franchise was opened, the first franchise was opened in Utah in 1952, and the brand value of KFC is ranked 96 in the world. In 2020, the KFC has 22,600 in franchise in 135 countries around the world with the value of US $8.3 billion and sales of 27.9 billion. Such a huge number in 2020. And the very first branch of KFC was introduced to Malaysia in 1973 at Jalan Tar, Kuala Lumpur. And currently, there are over 600 KFC restaurants nationwide serving Malaysian great great tasting fried chicken. Okay. Next slide.
Right, so let's follow with the McDonald's. Okay, so McDonald's is the most frequent or most common fast food hub or fast food station nowadays. People who are more easily going to, example, like they want to stay awake for during the midnights, so they just plan go for a drive-through at McDonald's, or maybe for desserts such as ice creams, pies, so McDonald's is one of the fastest growing, and actually it's one of the most common fast food. Okay, so on the background, the first McDonald's was opened in 1940 actually. So it was opened by the brothers, so-called the brothers, by the Morris. It is known as Mac and Richard McDonald in California actually. So the Ray Kroc is actually one of the friend, or maybe the known for the brothers. So since they are doing very good, Ray Kroc bought out the McDonald brothers in 1955 and developed it more broadly in almost 120 countries, which is appropriately 119. So he has developed a lot, and he has opened lots of franchise in other countries in order to penetrate the market. So the company has over 36,000 restaurants in over 100 nations, and the business was well grown actually. It was a very developing and a fast growing business. It was welcomed very well and very aggressive by the peoples in all the countries and by their customers as well. So they decided to establish in Malaysia, which is on April 1982 at Jalan Bukit Bintang, Kuala Lumpur. So the very first was at KL actually. And to be more precise, McDonald's holds the highest competitive power compared to the other fast food stations in Malaysia, also awarded as the People's Choice on 1990. As I said previously, McDonald's is the fast growing food hub station, which is like most of the people are affordable, and most of the people are like really going to, let's say they want to catch up for dessert or a quick meeting or something, or maybe they are lazy, or maybe example for the women, they don't feel comfortable getting out from the car, they can go for a drive-through. So in all the circumstances, in the terms, McDonald's holds the very special power, and also awarded as the People's Choice in 1990. So I'll pass to the next presenter on A&W.
All right. So moving on to the NW industry, background industry. So NW is the first franchise, was opened in 1924. And they expand their business more than 170 NW restaurant located in America. On that time, even sugar restriction during their business was open, but they expand very large during World War II. And then the first A&W restaurants opens in America Island of Guam in 1962. And A&W was introduced franchise with a classic design and new technologies in the late of 2000. In 1963, in the Malaysian history, A&W made become first fast food restaurant to open in Malaysia. This was followed in 1965 with the first drive-in restaurant in Petaling Jaya, Selangor.
Assalamualaikum. For Burger King, Burger King was first opened in Miami, 1954, in the United States of America. So Burger King focuses more on the product of burgers. So it is declared that Burger King is the second largest fast food hamburger chain in the world. The way they handle their operations and also the franchises is they rely heavily on outsourcing their franchises to other franchisees. So currently they have over 13,000 franchises in over 79 countries, racking up to 2 billion and in annual revenue. And for Malaysia, they started to begin their operation in 1997, and they opened their first restaurant here at Sungai Buloh Overhead Bridge. And fun fact, Burger King is also owned by Lee Tian Mua, who is the founder of 99 Speedmart as well.
Alright, so next we'll look into the Potter's 5 forces model. So everyone are aware of the 5 forces, but it is our duty to repeat it again. So the first is threat of new entrants, followed by the supplier bargaining power and internal competition, which is rivalry, followed by the threat of substitute, and finally will be the customer bargaining power. So we'll start with the threat of new entrants.
Okay. For the threat of new entrants, for the threat of newcomers are low in fast food. And to enter this industry, it's kind of hard because people will look for their name and brand and not only for their product. The features of fast food restaurant will affect the advantage of fast food restaurant. And the more in the restaurant, and it will kind of hard to choose because industry in fast food is very big. And the quality of the product, the price is cheap and better price are good customer service can help you counter the threat from new entrant into the market. And I pass the floor for the next presenter.
Okay, next is for the threat of rivalry. Competitive rivalry is an indication on how fairly current business compete. Price reduction, increased marketing expenses, or investing in service or product enhancement, innovation are all examples of competitive move that might limit profitability and lead to competitive move. The fast food industry competition has affect not only the restaurant styles but also their broad target market. Okay, many business have been striving for a larger market share and more earning. High storage costs have pushed competitiveness to the point where every major fast food business want to make more money while spending less. Okay, companies must also react to the market changes and meet the needs of their customers without hesitation. The firms that realize that competitive rivalry leads to pricing and margin pressure will be able to readily assist in the industry in overcoming other fast emerging and profitable industries. Okay, I'll pass that to the next presenter.
Alright, followed by the threat of substitutes. Okay, so the fast food industry experiences a strong force or maybe a threat in terms of substitution due to the various option of other fast food stations. Okay, we are aware that there are lots of fast food stations nowadays, such as McDonald's, KFC, Domino's, which we have explained and listed on the previous slides. So in terms of that, for us, who are we, the customers, we have our power, or we have the decision authority on where to have our lunch or have our meal and so on. So in terms of that, the threat of substitutes are very high. So it is easy for the customers to jump from one to another fast food station. Plus it is why it is easy, because the switching cost is very low actually, because it's up to their customers. So like maybe it's the switching cost is even equal or less than zero, the switching cost, so that makes them to shift more easily to other fast food stations actually. Okay, so the threat of substitution can be occurred due to several reasons. So the first is maybe increase in prices. So as an example, let's say McDonald's has decided to increase their price in a value meal or a set around 1 ringgit, or maybe 1 ringgit 50 cent to 2 ringgit. So the customers who are very sensitive to pricing, they find it expensive, so that makes them to switch to other fast food stations such as KFC or Burger King, which are offering the same types of food. So the second is maybe change in taste and preference of the customers. So okay, so the customers, like their preference or taste won't be the same. It changes time to time or day to day, it changes. So it's up to them in which fast food station they are offering food based on their taste and preference. So that is where the customers will go, and that contribute to the threat of substitutes. So the last is introduction of new food products to the market. So the fast food stations are nowadays, like they are working on a new method which can attract more customers, like they should have a specialty which can attract more customers. So they are working on introducing new food products. So if let's say the food products are welcomed well, they get what they wanted. If let's say it is no, like they should work more on it. So the new food products, what they are offering, is also contribute to the threat of substitutes. So we'll move to the next one.
Okay, so moving on to the buying power of the customer. This first examine the power of the buyers and their effect on the pricing and quality, which derive the ability to drive down the prices and demand higher quality goods. We all have the power of choice to actually choose where our money will be spent to. So when the buyer have the power to buy, this will affect on the marketing strategy of the company to actually put or strategize their price and offer better quality to compete with the competitors in the market. So when the market become more competitive, it can actually increase the power of buyers, and the buyers will become more sensitive towards the price, and will impact to the the down the will affect, or the buyer have the ability to drive down the price. Okay. So the bargaining power of buyer is a strong force in affecting the company's external environmental based on the following external factors. First is low switching costs. Low switching costs means that the buyer or the customer easily switch from one product to another or one brand to another because of some reason, such the quality of the price they offer. So this will lead switching of the product. For example, both KFC and McDonald's offer fried chicken. Okay. And then the buyer actually have the power to switch from one to another based on some factors and preference, and also the product knowledge have, and this will lead to the strong force of the power of buyer which affect the company's external environment. Second thing is large number of providers. Large number of providers. We know that the fried chicken is a demand food. Everyone eats fried chicken. So if there are large number of providers who provide the fried chicken, it will actually also affect on the rate of the power of the buyer to choose which fried chicken they would like to buy. So this influence to the strong force that will effect on the or give an impact to the company's external environment as well. So lastly will be high availability of substitutes. Of course, if there are high number of substitutes of product in the market, so this will affect or lead to the power of to the power of buyer, which of course and which is strong to actually give an impact on the company's environment. So to conclude, the customer bargaining power in a fast food industry has a high bargaining power of buyers because the fast food industry is demanded by all. Yeah. Proceed on to the next slide.
Right. Hello and Assalamualaikum. I'll be explaining for suppliers bargaining power. To understand more in terms of this force, we have to understand that regarding the supplier's role. So a supplier's role is actually to supply raw products to companies, and the companies will use these raw products to generate or produce their end product that they will be selling to the customers. So to explain about the supplier bargaining power, uh, the the factors that affect the supplier's bargaining power are only a few. The first one is actually the concentration of the market, the price of the raw product or the type of raw product used, and also the amount of competitors within the supplier within the same market. So for the fast food industry, as we see, it is the supplier bargaining power is actually low. This is due to a very highly concentrated market with a large number of competitors within the suppliers themselves, in which gives the companies an alternative or an easier switch to another supplier if in events that their supplier their current supplier uh, price has increased, they can actually switch to another supplier that can afford to give a much better price or cheaper price for the companies, as the cost will affect the profit and also the revenue at the end of the day. So moving on in terms of the supplier bargaining power, why is it actually low? It's because even in Kuala Lumpur itself, it is stated that there are over 70 local suppliers, and that is only concentrating on the local market, in which we actually import a lot of our raw materials as well to support our food and beverages industry, not just specifically for F&B for fast food, but as the whole F&B relies on a lot of supplies from the local market as well as the international market as well. So other than that, why the supplier bargaining power in the fast food industry is low is because there is actually a high overall supply, in which when supply is more than demand, then the supplier bargaining power is actually going to be low. because you do not have an advantage in terms of having a unique set of products to be sold to the firms, and the firms do not actually have to buy from a certain supplier in terms of to produce their end product. So in which this will actually um, decrease the bargaining power of the supplier due to the overall demand. So in recent situation, um, the recent potato scarcity, in which a lot of firms, as we can see, like McDonald's, they use potato for their French fries, and also, for example, for KFC as well, they use potato for the mashed potatoes and also French fries. During this period of time, they actually had to substitute the French fries for other goods. In this case, it actually affects the revenue because the calculated pricing for, and also combination of promotion or set meals have been done prior to using potato, but when they substitute the potato product into another product, it will actually affect the revenue. Hence, due to this situation, the bargaining power of the suppliers for potato in specific actually increased due due to the firms needing this product. So even though the product is not unique, but because the concentration of the market is still high, but the supply is actually low and the demand is remains the same. So it actually increases the bargaining power of the suppliers within this certain period of time. I would like to move on to the next slide, to the next presenter. Thank you. And the next presenter is also me. I'm so sorry about that. Moving on. Okay. So in terms of all of the forces explained, the market structure that we see from the fast food industry is actually mainly having the correct characteristics of a monopolistic competition structure. So in which, to be very direct, um, the the monopolistic competition characteristics within the fast food industry is that they have similar but not identical products. So if we take to account, for example, McDonald's versus Burger King. Um, McDonald's, they have burgers. Burger King also has burgers. The product is similar, but they are not identical in terms of the recipe, in terms of Burger King uses more beef instead of chicken, and McDonald's uses more chicken instead of beef as compared to one another. But at the end of the day, the product remains similar as they are burgers at the end of the day. The second point would be that um, the fast food industry actually has a low barrier to entry and also exit. This actually can be proven because of the local penetration. So in recent events, actually not so recent, I think this small business actually has penetrated the market since last year, which is called Muiz Fried Chicken. If I'm not mistaken, Muiz Fried Chicken started as a stall, and now they are in a form of food trucks, and they have a few franchises as already. They might not have impact on the they might not have a big impact in the market, but they are still there and they still exist within the competitive market. And the third one would be highly concentrated market, as the market is actually having low barriers to entry and exit. It will result in high competition. So new products, new rivalries can actually appear anytime of any day. So the, the environment for the fast food industry remains as the same. So if we can take into example, like Four Fingers, which actually came out of nowhere, to be really honest. But then it actually impacted the market for the fast food industry in a certain way, in which they actually meet the demands of the current population in Malaysia that actually uh, love to eat Korean, but it is a cheaper alternative to, for example, kyochon. Um, and then to be competing in this market structure, actually, the main 3 points is actually the first one would be product differentiation. So, for example, as we can see from KFC, the KFC have their own zesty crunch fried chicken. So even if the product is still similar, but there is a bit of differentiation being done every single time. So this mainly we can see it from the seasonal items that is provided from the companies themselves. The second one would be the pricing strategy. So when we compare the pricing for McDonald's and also the KFC fried chicken, even though the pricing um is not too far, the gap is not too far, but there is a bit of difference in the pricing strategy. And other than that, is actually the marketing strategy as well. In terms of promotional deals. So if we take into example, for KFC, they have their lunchtime promotion. For McDonald's, on the other hand, they actually do more in terms of if you buy a certain amount and then you will get something free, and the something free is actually is always constantly changing. Sometimes it's a large fry, sometimes it's a partnership with 100 plus, for example, for 100 plus new product. So it always changes from there. And I think that is all for the market structure. I would like to move on to the next presenter.
Okay, moving on to the conclusion. An organization may have invest more in branding effort to compete. Marketing channel like social media or paid marketing can grow company brand. Setting up distribution channels that are not easily accessible also deters to threat of new entry. So this is five forces, which is supply power, buyer power, threat of new entry, threat of rivalry, and threat of substitute. Okay, supplier power in the fast food industry is low due to population of supplier within the concentrated market. Those being in the fast food industry, the raw material required by the firm are quite similar and with abundance of suppliers. Switching cost to another supplier is low. However, in recent news of scarcity of potato and chicken supply in Malaysia might increase the supplier power. For buyer on the other hand, the buyer power is strong if buyers are more concentrated than seller and buyer purchase product in high volume. This is because of the products sold in fast food industry are not high value goods in which seller rely more on quantity of their sales to achieve profit. So I think this is the end of our presentation and thank you from all of us.
Thank you, Doctor.